Yo, what is good, my anime faithful? What is good, yo? So if you were wondering why I was playing this game a lot in the background, I am trying to platinum this game. I am very close to platinuming it, but I have to go through the whole story again on very hard, which wasn't even an option to play on in the beginning. And if I did, I would have got bodied. So I want to platinum this game, and then after I do, it will probably be off the channel. So I do apologize if this is not the game you want to be seeing. I will have some Monster Hunter World put on this channel pretty soon too. So with all that being said, let's get straight into. Uh, even if I, even if I already forgot the title. I apologize, but something something defeat a demon lord. Okay. uh, with this show, I saw it very, very early, and I was like disappointed that, oh man, this show looks like some weird show that I definitely won't even be into. And the first thing I saw was Slice of Life, so I was like, it's like I don't know about this one. And then I saw fantasy, but I didn't take the fantasy part of it too literal or actual factual. So I just, my brain went slice of life and straight up dipped out. So I could have this review up a lot sooner than I actually am right now. So I apologize for that because I actually really enjoyed this show and what we got from it. This is one of these shows that I feel like anybody who kind of just is bored can watch. I mean, not only just bored, but like if you want a decent show that's going to capture some of the aspects of other shows that you really like the magic, or just living in a world that is imaginary and stuff like that, and they get to create, there's demons and monsters and hunting in villages and stuff. So it's got a lot of all those things like put within it, but at the same time it has this weird feeling of, holy crap, that's a lot of people. um it has this weird, eerie feeling that anything could pop off because of the world that they're in, because of how things are. I mean, she's supposedly, the devils here are actually not treated all that badly. I mean, sure, they are considered like a different race, right? But to think that our main character shows up here, he's like, hey, I got this girl. They see the horn. I'm talking about at the front gate all the way to the end of the episode. They were very openly accepting of her, mainly probably because she was a cutie pie. The other thing being that she's with a guy who could handle himself, I guess, if she would ever go AWOL, is something they kind of just were throwing out there. Like, her being a devil automatically has like some kind of negative incantations if something were to happen. So it was like, oh, you're one of the strongest adventurers. You'll handle that, So it's kind of like that aspect was kind of weird, you know. It made sense though, because if I'm King Arthur and I brought back a devil, nobody's going to question King Arthur's ability to be able to handle the situation when it arises, So it just felt like that. That's how they were kind of treating this character, as if he is so skilled and stuff that it doesn't really matter who he brings across, because he'll handle it himself. But we find out that this Latina has lost her father, supposedly, and I think that's where the title of Demon Lord comes from in this show. I think that guy was probably a Demon Lord and maybe was killed unjustly or something along those lines. That could be the case. Or um, the Demon Lord could literally be someone who attacked her father and wanted the daughter for himself or something. I mean, when they said that uh, he was trying to talk to her and she speaks devil, but they said that devil is literally the same language as they're casting spells. So that's why it seems like devils aren't the worst things in this show, in the case of they have like the humans have a relationship with them, because it seems like without the devils they would have no magic to really use offensively, right? So that was pretty cool way to like put everybody in on equal footing, or at least some footing, to understand like who's probably bigger and who's smaller in this world, and who has probably the most power, which being the devil, showing that they literally gave humans the ability to use magic. And now that we're looking at magic throughout the episode, it's used everywhere, for their hot water to their cooking almost, so it's a very viable thing in this world now that the devils have helped them pretty much, so that's something to take into consideration. So it would only make sense that maybe the devils are the ones on top and they have their own, city and stuff like that. And that's another reason why you can't really like hurt or discriminate on a devil, is because if you did, you would practically be, going against the people who have taught you magic and stuff like that. It's really interesting. The other thing that I was like, the slice of life, I was like, how is this slice of life going to play out? Like, there's good slice of life and there's bad. And this one so far isn't that bad, because I can see him in the openers, like taking her out on missions, and she literally is like an enchantress kind of, when it comes down to whatever spell she does gave him a boost, so if that's how she is like incorporated in the fighting of the show, that'd be sick. Like, she ends up making him much stronger than he ever would have been, just by showing up and adding a little bit extra to his his attacks and stuff like that. So that would be dope. But I just have a feeling that, like how we got the shopping this week, how we got her getting cleaned up and stuff, I think that's going to be a real focus of the show. But at the same time, this guy's going to need money. He's going to need food. He's going to need all those things, like he was doing, like the adventures and stuff. He's going to continue to need to do that stuff, I feel like, to keep her, sustained, as well as himself. And that's where I'm kind of hoping the whole entire, slice of life doesn't really interrupt with any of that. Just make it really fun and enjoyable, and then the parts that aren't slice of life, just let it rip. Like, let it just go. Because that's what it felt like when we saw the little bit of adventuring that we got in this week's episode. It just felt like they just went with it. They just let it kind of fly. Even though it did end up finding this girl, who hopefully this doesn't happen a lot to him after this. Him having to take people home and feed them and bathe them and stuff. You see how much shopping he did in this week's episode alone. So we already know he's a sucker. He's a sucker for her already, and that's another part that really drove this episode for me to love it, and actually really think that this show has potential in the overall grand scheme of just these characters growing on you and these characters being fun to watch. When I had a channel, I didn't really talk about shows like this much, and I think I missed out because some of you guys that watch these shows like action anime just as much as I do, but you also like these shows even more than those action animes at times. So I can understand why, now that I've watched multiple of them, because at the end of the day, there's a little bit more tear jerking and a little bit more of like responsibility, and less playfulness when it comes down to actually raising a child that isn't even his own. So I really respect that, and to think that every day he's gonna like put her to sleep and she wakes up, she's literally gonna freak out almost every time looking for him, and that alone made him understand that he is now, and probably forever will be, that person to her. She'll always be looking for him in those types of situations, which was really touching and awesome at the same time. So yeah, first episode was pretty amazing. I mean, it doesn't feel like these shows have to try hard to keep up this type of, whatever, like, response from me. Like, it's doing pretty much what the show's supposed to do, and that's all I ask for. Be who the show it's supposed to be. And I can see that more than I can see them trying to, jump around and do things that other shows have done just because it works out for them. So they're like, we might as well try it too. That sucks. So if they keep it honest and keep it the way it's supposed to be, this could be a really promising show, and that's what I'm hoping for. And let me know what you guys are thinking. I know some people aren't even going to pick up this show, let alone care for it, even if they watched the first episode and figured out what it was about. So that's always a thing. I mean, it's not like those people should be shunned or anything. Oh, you don't like this type of anime, you're trash. Like it's never anything like that. It's just that's just how it is. Like they might not ever give this show a chance because of just like me, I saw a slice of life and I was like, yeah, I have a life too. Like I have a slice of life if you want to get into it. But no, I actually really did enjoy it surprisingly, and I honestly wanted another show that felt relaxing and chill, kind of like my cats, and I got one. So now I got a funny show and I got a relaxing show. That's more than I could ask for this quickly into the new anime seasons of the summer. So thank you so much for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed or at least give this show a shot. And if you don't like the first episode, I can understand that. It's definitely not going to be for everybody, let alone for some people who don't even like these types of shows. So I apologize if it's not something you wanted to see on the channel, but it is something that gave me general, like, it was actually generally fun to watch and entertaining. So that's the only reason why it's here. If I like it and enjoy myself, I have no reason not to tell you the truth. So with all that being said, I hope you have an amazing one, and I will definitely talk to you either later today or for sure tomorrow. So with that being said, I am the Anime G, and I will definitely talk to you then. So peace. Let's capture this last area though. And the boss shows up. Boss might not show up till I kill everybody. Dead.